Hey guys, Matty here, and if you saw my previous video on the Troy built winterizing it, we took off our battery to, get it winter ready, but we have to trickle charge it. If you leave this is what, a 12 volt battery sitting around, it's going to discharge over the winter potentially, and then you're ruined a battery, and then you're out a whole lot of money in springtime. Now, the simple solution is to leave it on a trickle charger. I do not like putting trickle chargers in garages because they're usually unheated and they're prone to having moisture. So I've got this inside my house in my finished basement, and I've got it sitting on a 1x8 piece of wood. I do not recommend putting these directly on ceramic, wood, carpeted flooring. If the battery does leak, you want something down here to protect it. And a 1x8, in my opinion, is just a scrap piece of wood that I've had. You could use any scrap piece that's big enough to cover it. You do not want this to be like a 2x4 and then have like all this room because the battery could tip over and leak. What I'm going to be using is a Black & Decker. This is a dual stage 6 volt and 12 volt trickle charger. And it's got a whole lot of nice indicator lights. This thing was cheap. It comes with a whole bunch of attachments for different types of batteries. Ones we're going to be using are going to be just like on the tractor. It's just a positive and negative little ring that you attach to the actual battery, and then you just select what power you need, 6 volt or 12 volt. This battery says directly on it, I'll show you. It is a 12 volt. It's right in the corner if you don't know. If it's not marked, try and look it up online. These batteries always have like safety data sheets online, so you can usually find information from this and use that. The other big thing to do while we're setting this up, we're going to attach a trickle charger first before plugging in. If you do it in the opposite order, yes, you can and will shock yourself. So we're going to start just like we did with the other one. We're going to go positive to positive, negative to negative, but the order we're doing it in is negative first. So looking at your terminals, they are marked. This one has a minus sign for negative, and this one has a plus sign for positive. So we'll start with our little negative one right here. And we're just going to be kind of like reassembling this the way it was in the tractor as I drop the bolt. That's going to happen too, especially if you're butterfingers like me. So you put your little piece through, and then, oops, sorry, we did that wrong. We need to put our little trickle charge cable on, and then we're just going to attach this, just like this. And these just are going to go together, and we are going to snug them up. We don't need to be like super snug, but we do need them to be tight enough that they're gonna, not have a risk of arcing. And you don't really have to turn them that hard. So, sorry if you guys can't see that well. Then you just turn it a couple times, that's all. That's on there good. It doesn't move around, that's what we want. We're gonna position this so it's slightly upwards, and it just has to be, slightly snug. Repeat the process for the other side. Alright, that just slips right on there. And then same process for this one. You don't want to touch the other terminal while you're doing this. This is a battery that does have this charge in it still. So kind of work on one side at a time. Alright, we'll get our wrench on this side, and then get our other wrench over here. All you need, it just has to be tight enough, and then we'll turn her so she's slightly upright. That's it. Next part, make sure this is in the 12 volt position since we're working on a 12 volt power source. And then just comes with a really long cord, so you can kind of like negotiate this around multiple places. And take it in, plug it into the wall. If it's working, this will come on and it'll start indicating that it has a battery source. Solid means that it is in the process of maintaining a charge. Blinking means that it's actively charging and discharging the battery. That's how these work. They send in electricity at different rates to kind of like cycle the battery. They don't just constantly pump electricity in. That would defeat the purpose. So they drain the battery, charge the battery, drain, charge. Much like what you would see when you're running a tractor where you have an alternator that's kind of like pumping electricity into it as it runs. And I like to tuck all my wires underneath and far away from the battery so I don't have anything else coming into contact with the battery source. And I just like to drape that right there. The only other thing I have to say about these, check them every couple weeks just to make sure it is charging. If there is an issue with the battery, like there's no charge going through or inadequate charge, this little light over here will suddenly turn red, and it also indicates if you have flipped your terminals. So if you accidentally go positive, negative, and negative to positive, it's going to light up and tell you that you have an issue. And the other thing, don't put these on metal racks. You should never have these on metal. Metal can actually cause a reaction with the battery, and then you can get leakage, and it's going to be a problem. So that's it, guys. Use a trickle charger. Save yourself some potential lost money on a dead battery. It's really easy. These are inexpensive. This one was just a couple of dollars at Walmart. You can get fancy ones, but a basic one will work for most of your things. This, although, would not be adequate for a car battery. You'd need something a little bit heftier. So that's it for this one, guys. We'll catch you next time. Have a great night.